Oops. Okay, good evening. So I'm going to say good evening, depending on where you are, wherever you are in any part of the world. So it's going to be good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and to everybody joining the call. And because we know that people are joining from different parts of the world, you're welcome to Inspired for Impact 2020. And for this session, I'm giving a real big thank you to everybody who's made the time to join us on the call. I can assure you of one thing: it's going to be a life transforming session for every single person. So just to say again, welcome to this event. You have on this event great minds who are going to be sharing their life experiences, some of the things that we put out when we were advertising this event. Some of the things that we put out was that there will be no holds barred discussions, and that our guests are going to be speaking from their hearts. So I just want to encourage everybody to have an open mind. If you have your notes ready, please get your notes and take notes. It's beyond just the things that you will hear. Permit me to say that it's an inspired event, and so we believe strongly in the power of the Almighty, to touch everybody that has tuned in to this session. So I want to say welcome to everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this session. So thank you. Also to say a very big thank you to our speakers, and I'm going to be introducing them right away. Every one of them, very, very important personality in their right. People who are impact making, people who are making tremendous impact in the various fields, and even beyond their spheres of influence, making impact in the lives of people. They are people that we've sought to invite to this session. The theme of the event is Inspired for Impact, and it was necessary that we brought on people who have, in one way or the other, and in multiple ways, made that impact. They've inspired people by the impacts they have made, and every one of them has a story to tell. Before I introduce them, I just want to let you know that it's a conversational event. So you'll be hearing them speak from their hearts. You'll be hearing them say their own experiences, what they've experienced through their careers, their profession, their businesses, the things that they've put their hands into. And in some instances, you will hear them talk about how they've tried to balance it all, work, career, business, ministry, for those of them ministry inclined, just putting it all together and finding the right balance in life. So wherever situation you're in, whatever point in life you're in, whether you're a teenager, whether you're a young person, you're old, you're a grandparent, any stage in life you're in, there's something on this event for you. And so, like I said, there's something for everybody, and it's going to really be a life transforming event. First on my list, I'd like to start with my lady. And I'm just going to give very, very brief introduction. You have their name. After this event, you can please look up their profiles. You can check their social media handles, and you can look them up on LinkedIn. A lot of details of them you will find on social media. But briefly, I just want to give you a background to each of them. Mrs. Damilola, our only female guest on this program this evening. If you're in this part of the world, or today at this point in time, wherever you are, Mrs. Damilola is currently the MD, and I say currently because I know greater things are coming soon. She's currently the Managing Director of Meristem Trustees, and so she's your go-to person for investment matters. She's your financial advisor. And not just that she's a financial advisor, she's someone who sits at the very top of decisions regarding the organization. And so she's your go-to person. But interestingly, she's somebody who's moved. So Mrs. Damilola Hassan had a pure science background in the university. So you can imagine that she's had a complete shift. And not just that she's had that complete shift, she's still making waves, having made that shift. And I know that a story is one that you would really want to hear today. Next on my list, I have Mr. Gbenga Totoi. Mr. Gbenga Totoi is currently the group head of HR, Hallmark Insurance PLC. He's also a director with CIPM. And interestingly, every one of our guests tonight, they're all young people who've started making impact as young persons before now and are still making impact. Mr. Totoi is a very young man. I wouldn't want to say too much around that, but someone who's made tremendous impact wherever he's been involved in. And with his new role, he combines a lot of things. So he's started his own consulting, currently also working in an organization where he has multiple roles as a very top executive, and also partnering with the CIPM, which is the apex body for human resources in Nigeria. So I can assure you that that's someone you want to also listen to. Third on the list this afternoon is Mr. Oladipupo Clement. Mr. Oladipupo Clement, like the others, has a very interesting story. He's also another very young man. Like the other two, though I didn't mention that, they are both ministers. Mr. Oladipupo Clement is also a pastor, and then he's the CEO of LifePage Group. He's someone who has moved through different phases of life. So he's someone who's seen it all. When you say you're typical from one level to the other, he can tell you that he's seen from one aspect of the spectrum to the other. He's been there, he's seen that, he's done that. And so if you want to hear stories like that, this is your go-to guy. And the LifePage Group is currently running in different countries, partnering with major organizations, multinationals, and also have grown into having several businesses. Again, this is someone you would get a lot from. I want to believe that you're excited already. And I can assure you it's a power-packed session. Finally, I have on the list Mr. Tope Aladenusi. So of every one of them, I'm privileged to call everybody on this call my friend, but this is somebody I worked with personally. I've related with everybody as friends, as associates in different capacity, but I've worked with Mr. Tope Aladenusi in the same office for years. And working directly with him. So I know him beyond just knowing him as a friend. I know him in terms of work. One thing that stands out, Tope made partner in one of the big four, Deloitte, in his early 30s. He was a feat. I don't know if that feat has been broken in terms of the age he made it. First as a non-accountant, he made partner when he looked like, that wasn't possible. And at a very young age. And he's a force to reckon with. Currently, he also runs a ministry, a full-blown ministry, a full-blown church and ministry, combining that with being a partner in Deloitte, also leading the most sought-after team of cyber security specialists in Nigeria, and I dare say beyond Nigeria in certain climes. So you can imagine that we have a power-packed panel on this session. So I just want to say welcome to every one of you. I know that our participants on the call, we have people streaming from Facebook, some people joining us on YouTube. And because the session is recorded, we're also going to be sharing it on our website subsequently. So we'll go straight into today's session. And I'm going to be asking every one of our guests one question, just one question to set the ball rolling for this event. My question is this. We want to know from every one of you, what is that one experience that has been the most profound impact on your life, whatever, positive, negative? In 2 minutes, tell us what's that one event that has had the most profound impact on your life, what it was, what you took from it, and how it has shaped you till date. Mr. Aladenusi, I'd like to start with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I wasn't expecting you were going to call me first. So I was still hoping to listen to others, and when you called me, I was like, oh, not now. Well, I want to thank you for Victoria for organizing this very power-packed event. I'm also privileged to be in the same panel with all the panelists. These are people I respect in the industry. I follow them, and I know they're also doing great things. And I believe God has inspired you to put this together. And I'm looking forward to be blessed. And I believe everyone also will be blessed. So, to your question, sincerely, a lot of things has made impact on me. But if I'm to say the one that has made the most impact, apart from salvation, which we know, it will be about 20 years ago when I've been a Christian for about 10 years then. And I asked myself that this Christianity that I've been doing, I've never really read the Bible before. Everything I know, there are things that people told me. So I just made up my mind, when it's time for a new year and people start having New Year resolution, that's okay. My new resolution for this year is that I'm going to read the New Testament. And I did not plan to change. I just said I will read the New Testament. And sincerely, among everything that has happened to me that has really changed me, that appears to be the most profound as we speak. I started reading from Matthew. By the time I got to John, my life had changed. First of all, I realized that many of the things I was being taught in church appeared not to be exactly like I saw it in scriptures, fortunately. Secondly, I think I saw things for myself. I took the Bible the way it was, the way it is. Whatever it says, I believed it, and I started putting those things to practice. By the time I got to John, my life had changed. And that was what marked the turning point in my life, because I was a believer, but I lived a very bad Christian life. And from that time, things turned around. I refocused. I knew purpose. I knew why I was here. In fact, some of the books you are seeing, like this, okay, I can say this, like this book, I bought it then. That's the Strong Concordance. Started reading Bible in Greek and Hebrew. As I got so deep, that was the defining points, in my life. And from that moment, why was it defining? I realized that Christianity was not as has been portrayed. Like, it's not an easy road. We are traveling to heaven. That song the man sing those days. It's not an easy road. We are traveling to heaven. So I saw that God has called us to a life of all-round victory. Your family, your health, your relationship, your work, your ministry, everything can be excellent, and they can exude the power and wisdom of God. And I found that interesting. And I decided that day and that period that this is the kind of life I was going to live. I think that was what turned it around for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Awesome experience. I'm not going to say so much on that. I'm going to move on to the next person, Mr. Clement. Please, let's hear what your most impactful experience has been that has shaped you. In 2 minutes, please. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here. And I'm also very privileged to be here. And by the way, happy 40th birthday. I must say that. Happy birthday.
I was going to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy birthday. So because of our time, so let me just run through very quickly. There are quite a number of things, and I can't say this was most impactful, most life transforming for me. But there's one that I can remember. I remember very readily, and that's, of course, like Pastor Tokbe said, apart from salvation, for me, it was a particular time in my life. That was about 15, 16 years ago. Yeah, 15, 16 years ago. I was really overwhelmed. I had so much on my head. I had too much, so to speak, I had so much I was handling at the time. and I felt really, really overwhelmed, really stressed out. And but I did the right thing, which was to call out to seek help. So I sought help from my mentor, who also happens to be my own spiritual father. And then I spoke with him about how stressed I was and how, overwhelmed I was. And I would never forget, while sharing my pain, he was smiling. You can imagine that feeling, that somebody is smiling, more or less like mocking me. So that was the way I felt at the time. But certainly I knew that he was smiling because he knew better. And so eventually he asked me some very powerful questions. He said, okay, so if a generating set, for those who may be outside Nigeria and who are not familiar with Nigeria has been in total blackout. So we generate our electricity by ourselves. So most Nigerian homes own generating sets. And so he said, if a generating set is jerking, he said, what would be the problem? So I said, that means the load is too much, and all of that. So he asked me another question. He said, if you add more to the generator, will it help with the load? I said, no. He said, if you add engine oil, will it will it help? I said, no. He said, so tell me exactly what would help. I said, is it how you reduce the load or you get a bigger generator? He said, good, go and increase your capacity. That was it. He said, go and increase your capacity. And he broke it further down and said, if you realize that you are always getting tired and all of those things, it means that you are not getting enough rest. So physically, you are drained. So go take time out, rest. He said, so sometimes retreat does not necessarily mean that you are fasting and waiting on the Lord, just praying and fasting. He says, so sometimes you just need to rest. Sometimes 30-minute nap can help you, recuperate and reconfigure better. And then he said that if you also realize that you're making a lot of faulty decisions, it could be that you are making a lot of uninformed decisions. Then it could be that you're not getting adequate and relevant information. So if you have an area of your life where you have made faulty decisions, get relevant materials in that area and use that, build yourself up, and that will help to make quality decisions. And of course, finally said, if you also know that if many things happen to you unannounced, and the same way it's happening to everybody, happening to you impromptu, and then you are insensitive, you are not in tune, you are not in line with frequency of heaven, so to speak, then it means you need to take time out. 3 days, just go and pray fast, and then lock yourself inside one room and get paper, notebook, and then just water, enter the room and don't come out, something like that. You will be hearing the voices, and then you will know what is coming. And that was, for me, one of the most profound, and anybody who has met me before, who has related with me on the personal level, has had me share that story. Today, I carry far more load than that. I realize that the quality of a person's life the quality of a person's decision cannot be better than the quality of their information. And that, for me, was life transforming. And I think that's where I would like to stop. I think I've exceeded my 2 minutes. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The quality of your life cannot be better than the quality of the information that you have at your disposal. Maybe not even at your disposal, that you've taken and you're using. Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for that experience sharing. I want to move now to my good friend, Mrs. Hassan. Thank you. Let's hear you speak. Let's hear your experience that has shaped you.
Okay, so quickly, let me wish you a happy birthday. I have to do it as well. Thank you very much for putting this together. I know how important this event is to you, and I'm glad that I'm on this platform along with very sharp and bright minds, this evening. Thank you very much. So quickly to your question, I've had a bit of time to think through what is that memorable experience that I think shaped me to date. So I'm not a pastor. I'm not going to have a very spiritual story to tell. But I remember something that happened several years ago. I think about 33 years ago, thereabout. I think I was in primary 5 then. We were rehearsing for a particular drama in school. I was in primary school, and I had wanted a lead role, a certain lead role, several months before then. So when I had the opportunity, I grabbed it, and we all started rehearsing for that role. There was someone in my class as well who wanted a lead role, but somehow she didn't get that role because I think there was someone else that did better at that role than her. So she was sad, she started crying, and she was someone that had an influential teacher who really wanted so at that point, the influential teacher stepped in and wanted to swing things our way, because she wanted this girl to really have what she wanted. And I just sensed it. Nobody was telling me anything, but I could sense all of the drama that was going on behind the scene, that something was going to happen. They were going to try to please this girl. So I went back home and I took it like my life depended on it. I learned my lines such that I knew I was ready. So 2 days after, thereabouts, 2 teachers walked up to me and said, you are involved in so many other things. You are involved in singing. We think you are carrying too much. We think you should drop the drama beat, so that you will have lighter load to carry. Deep in my heart, I knew it was just a scheme. They just wanted to create space for this girl. So I told the teachers, I said, no, don't worry, I'm fully prepared. I can actually, take up this. They said, no, you can't. And while they were speaking, I just stood up and then I started acting. My lines were perfect. My everything was perfect. By the time I was done demonstrating to them that I was very ready for it, they couldn't just say anything. They just said, oh, really, you are very ready for it. And they just, let it be. That's very day, I learned something profound. I was a 9-year-old girl thereabouts, and I learned something important, that life will not always play fair with you. I learned that. So I didn't learn it in these exact words, but I just knew that if you want something, you don't sit and watch things happen. You should be intentional. I learned my lines like my life depended on it because I knew that something was going to threaten it. And when the opportunity came for me to prove myself, I did it really well, and then nobody could take that role away from me. Yes, it's a story that happened to a little child, but it shaped me, and it just helped me to have that perspective that, girl, you just have to fight and go after what you want and be very intentional about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Profound, profound. I like the notes of intentionality that you shared. Very, very profound. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I believe our participants are picking nuggets already from the conversation so far. And so quickly, I'll go to Mr. Totoi to share his own experience before we delve into the questions. Thanks.
All right, and thank you for calling me last. So I've had the opportunity through and check my timer and all of that. So I promise you under 2 minutes. Happy birthday to you again, and pleasure to be on the panel with amazing friends and people that are doing great work. It was a tough one to, honestly. I mean, I've been thinking all day, which one will I share? But there's one that I think is more career related, and I've had quite a bit. So I'll refer to 2 of it, all in 2 minutes. One will be into working at Workforce Group with Mr. Bolaji Olagunju. And for those who have listened to me before, my experience is that's happening in my career today. By my exit, he told me face to face, we have one of those heart-to-heart conversations, and he said, "Really, one of my best hands, but you need to leave here now." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "There are things in your life right now that you would not see until you come under some level of pressure, and that pressure is outside of here. You need to leave here now." And that was like, okay. And he was like, "Okay, let me explain what I mean to you." And he told me that there are not very many excellent people in our space. And he said the reason is because very many people don't take the time at crucial moments in their life to bury their heads and dig deep. I was still looking at him. So he then said, okay, this will be my target to you. And I perhaps need to go back to him and ask him, either he did 5 years or he did 7 years. But this was what he said. He said, give yourself 5 years to just go bury your head, just move away from public attention and go dig deep. But this will be the test. 5 years from now, when I come into the HR space and I'm talking to top 5 people in the space, make before
Okay, thank you very much. We have a slight break there with Mr. Totoi, but I'm going to be coming back to him. And so when we were sending out the request for this, we're sending out the invite for this session, we did ask that individuals should send us questions they want to ask the speaker. So we've put together those questions. And I must say ahead that we may not be able to answer all the questions, but we'll do the best possible to see how much we can. We also want to, there'll be some relevant questions that we feel that participants from whatever level will benefit from. So my very first question, I'll be going now to Mr. Oladipupo, please. So I can mention your name ahead so you can be ready. And so this question really links to what you shared, the real experience that you really have experienced you shared. So good enough that I'm asking you the first question. They say a life of purpose is the purpose of life. So in other words, the life in your days, not the days in your life. So that's me adding that to the question. But the question goes to say, what should I do when I've not fully figured out what my purpose is? What do I do? Especially when I feel something is missing. I am working, I'm being well paid, but something is missing within me. What's the next step? What should I do? How do I address that? And let me just also quickly say this for every speaker. We want to achieve a maximum of 1.5 minutes. That's about 90 seconds per question, as much as you can. We have loads and loads of questions, and we want to benefit from every one of them as much as possible. So please, Mr. Oladipupo, Mr. Clement. Thanks.
All right. So thank you so much for that question. It's a tall order actually to be able to answer that question in 1.5 seconds. But let me try the best I can. There is what you are made for, right? And there is what you are paid for. What you are paid for is not necessarily what you are made for. And these are two separate things. And the best way to really answer that question is to ask yourself, because there are a number of people also who are not really well paid, but they don't enjoy what they are doing too. So it's not everybody who really hasn't found purpose that is really well paid. So there are quite a number, in fact, a large chunk of people in the workspace really don't enjoy what they do. They're just doing it as a way of making a living. My thought is, in order to discover what you are made for, sometimes you need to just be dedicated at serving. The smartest and fastest route to discovering purpose is through service. That's the fastest, that's the smartest thing to do. So sometimes you might just even be volunteering, and then you discover what you're really good at, and then people begin to spot your potential. People begin to point at the things you're really great at that you may not have even found yourself. And I think the best way also to ask the question is, what is it that you'll be doing if money were not your problem? If money was not your problem, what is it that you'll be doing? Take the time to think about that. My 1.5 seconds is over, so I wish I could.
So I can give you a few, maybe 30 seconds more, if there's anything you want to add.
Let's proceed, please. Let's just proceed with others.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that you might want to start thinking about it. One area we want you to maybe address with that is, and I'm going to move on, but you might think through it while you prepare for the next question, is now that you say answer those questions, what would you want to do if money wasn't involved? Think about service and think about what you were made for vis-a-vis what you're paid for. Can you find a blend of both? I think that's another area I'd want our people, our participants to hear. How do you find a blend of both? You can enjoy what you're doing, but it might not be the assignment, what you're really made for. How do you balance it? And how are you as an individual? But I'm going to pause there, and I hope we'll come back to that question. So I want to go to the next speaker, because we do have a lot of questions. So the next question I have, I want to ask Mr. Totoi. And as I ask you this question, we want you to maybe quickly wrap up what you were talking about before and then take on this question. My question is this: how can you be exceptional? This is coming to you, your HR professional. You've worked, you shared your experience where somebody said, this is the time for you to leave. There's a lot of excellence you carry that we cannot, you can't express fully now. How can you be exceptional when, even if the environment doesn't give you the right support? So we are flipping it. You had somebody who knew what you had and was pushing you. But how do you now bring out the exceptionality that you carry and the environment doesn't support you, but you have to be there?
Okay. Thanks a lot for that. Great question, by the way. And I think people should just settle it once and for all. The environment will never be supportive, period. Go work in Shell, go work in Google, go work anywhere. Truth is, there's no best place to work. And so my philosophy is just take personal responsibility for that dream and that life you want to live. Then pressure is good. And so if you really truly want to grow and you want to be excellent, you've got to be the one shifting the goalpost for yourself consistently, such that even if you're in a great environment and you're growing, the way I like to do it is I don't put pressure on my immediate employer to increase my salary or change my role. I just tell myself I will outgrow my current role. So as future focused as I can be, I'm also I can be very focused on the here and now. And I tell myself, this future that I'm trying to dream of, this 10 years, I mean, Victoria, you were once 20 years old and you were once 21 and 40 was like, and here it is today. The truth though, between where you are now and where you were 20 years ago is perhaps just capacity and size. You are largely still doing some things you're doing now that you were doing then. But what you will see is that you have grown into a larger role where you are doing more because you've got a larger platform or capacity to do it. But that capacity happened as you applied yourself per time, per phase in your life. What I have a problem with is people get caught up with a future that is far away, not knowing that it is what we do today, the pressure we put on ourselves today, the growth we achieve on a daily basis that eventually brings us into that future. So environment will never be, in fact, if the moment your environment becomes overly comfortable, a part of your life is not growing. And so God, life, career will move you out because pressure is good.
Thank you very much. I think that was apt. Thank you for that. The introduction, the environment will never be supportive, no matter where you work.
Never.
And never. Yes. So you have to make it work.
I mean,
thank you very much.
Let me give you a very perfect example. Example, right? I mean, all things being equal, Joe Biden is going to be the president of America, right? In the max, I think it's been called actually, right? But this man has tried 3 different times, but he is perhaps coming to become the president in quote at the worst time. right? The same thing happened to President Obama. He came into presidency. Yes, he was the first black president and all of that, but he came after 8 years where the economy has gone through quite a lot. And so for me, leadership, excellence, and all of that comes when it gives you that environment to truly now step up. And that pressure is what motivates you. America is divided, there's a lot of challenge, but this is the best time and environment for him to truly then say, this was what I wanted to be. And then excellence while doing that.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I would want to move on to the very next question. And my next question is so I have two questions in mind, but let me take my lady first. And this question, I'm asking you, even though you're not an HR professional, but because it's something that you experienced. So maybe you can share it from your personal example. At what age and what time in life do you think would be too late or would be appropriate to do a career switch or a change in career path? And what do you need to consider? Maybe what are the success factors? Just share your story with us in 2 minutes, as much as you can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question. First things first, my personal opinion, I do not believe that there's a certain age that you cannot do whatever you want to do, as long as you have the physical strength and the willingness to pay the price to do it. Let's just settle that. Now, I believe that what is important is to each and every one of us should understand what we are here to do. For some people, they're lucky. They have a clarity as to where they're heading to right from when they were very young. I mean, if you've read the story of Lewis Hamilton, as early as it was when he was 2 years or so, we hear that his father sold his assets just so that he could register him and buy him the first and put him in a class, so that he can be a Formula One professional. And we know what Lewis Hamilton has done, and how he has made his father proud. So not all of us will have that story. For so many of us, we do not even, neither our parents nor the people around us even understand what they are doing, talk less of being able to lead and guide us. And it is not their fault. They are only giving us the best that they can give, but the best might not even just lead you in a certain direction. So many of us also didn't have the opportunity to be mentored early in life, so you have people. I envy the people on this platform. Some people are teenagers and they are here now, listening to this. Many of us didn't even have such platforms growing up, so we went in different directions. At some point, the in thing for us in secondary school then was be a science student, study medicine. It was almost like if you're not studying medicine, then it has to be law, and then we all just followed that line. I got into the university for a course that I didn't even like, and at the end of the day, I changed to a course that I managed. And at the end of it all, like you mentioned when you were introducing me, I not for one day did I work as a medical microbiologist. It is at the point that you discover that you are more interested in other things, and be sure that your interest, that the reason why you're taking that decision is not superficial. Otherwise, you will lose steam and you will not have the strength to carry on for the rest of the journey. So when you start to think about something, ask yourself, why do I really want this? So do I want something else because I think what I'm doing is too challenging? Do I want something else because I think I should be doing something else? I think I like numbers. I think I like this and that. We should ask ourselves those sincere questions and be ready to answer them objectively. One thing I would also quickly like to mention is that we need to have people around us who who can speak objectively to us. You know, the Bible talks about walking with the wise so that you can be wise, and that a companion of fools will not be foolish, but will be destroyed. You know, so what company do you keep? Who are the people you talk to about your dreams, about your goals? I tell you, let me just emphasize this as I round up this question. It's never too late to pick a fresh start. Never, ever too late. Discover what you want, find an anchor. Why do you really want to do this thing? And once you have that firm answer, you need to write out that anchor, that strong reason. Write it out boldly, because as you move along, you will run into problems, you will run into challenges. You will ask yourself, who sent me message? You would ask yourself all sorts of questions. Why did I even toe this line? But you will always have the opportunity to go back to that anchor, the why that you have made very clear, because at some point you won't remember that why when the pressure mounts. So write it down, find a strong reason, and then just run. It really doesn't matter how old. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I'll pick two things. Know your why. When you said the beat on the why, it resonated with some conversations I have regularly with my boss. I know he's on this call. He's told me he's going to join Mr. Steve OJ. Anytime we meet on our monthly connect session, he's always asking, so, you know, understand the why. You know, being new in the environment, he's always asking, so you put this down, these are the things that we are achieving, these are the things we've done. Let's know the why. So even when there's a course we are taking, understanding the why, it makes you know when it's time to make that change. So knowing what your anchor is key. I really, really profound. I want to take the next question, and that question is going to Mr. Ladinusi. The question for you is this. Have you ever, so I'm putting two questions in one. It may be a bit related, but I will take the two in one, and I want you to take them. Has there been a moment in life? And so please, let me say this, because I worked with Tokwe. Tokwe, please, I don't want you to come and mention, don't bring the spiritual aspects now. Permit me to say that. Have you, because I know if it's one-on-one, I know how you will give me the answer, but you know, yes, the spiritual bit, but just answer to everybody here. Has there been any moment where you felt you have failed on your journey? How did you handle it? That's one. The other bit, which is a bit related, maybe not so, but I want you to answer both, is this. Were there times when you felt incapable of handling assignments? So maybe you felt you failed, you were incapable, or times where you actually failed, and how did you handle them? How do you handle those times? Let's see what we can do in 2 minutes. Thank you.
That's a very difficult question. In fact, have I ever failed, or my perspective
or
felt what I failed?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, maybe in my personal, but I wouldn't say fail. In terms of, like, there are standards I set for myself in terms of character-wise. Maybe this is the kind of character I should exhibit. And there are times I've felt that I had set something for myself and I did not achieve it. I'm not living up to the standard of the character that I wanted. So I have felt that I'm not sure I did things very well. Or as driven as I am, there are times I've also set goals and targets which I did not achieve them like I wanted. But I've never seen them as failure. I think that's where I'm struggling. I don't see them as failure. I believe that a setback is just a feedback for a comeback. So whenever I don't achieve something, I see that there is something I can learn from it and pick up something and then come back stronger. I will give this analogy. If you're driving from here to, let's say, VI, and you have a flat tire, you don't settle down and begin to celebrate the flat tire forever. You try to fix the tire, or you look for someone who is a specialist in fixing tire. You fix it, and then you move on. So because of that, as a perception, I don't take it that I've failed at any point. I just see as a feedback. I don't see that temporary setback as a feedback for a comeback. Then I bounce back. So I don't see that as a failure. Now, in terms of feeling incapable of doing things, I think I have. There was once, and that's also one of my second most defining moments, especially in my career. Sometimes in 2007 or so, about 13 years ago, I work in Deloitte, and I was told to Deloitte got some experts. We were doing a data analytics project for a company, and we had to get experts from abroad to come and solve it for us, to work with us, rather, to deliver to a client. And so I was assigned to work with them and learn from them. And so because it's something I could have never done before, I was just looking up to them and sitting down like a dummy, saying, okay, teach me. You guys are the experts from abroad. We are the local guys from Nigeria. They are supposed to pass knowledge to us. And to cut the long story short, while we were trying to solve the problem, we eventually had to say, okay, we're going to take the data and go and work on it in the UK. And I was assigned to work with them. And I was the one from Nigeria to fly with them and go solve the problem. So while I was in the UK working with them, I actually felt very incapable. I was just sitting down watching them and trying to see what I can do. Until at the last day of the project, the guy who was, managing the project started telling me that I have just sat down all through these weeks doing nothing. Just sat down like a dummy, listening, looking at them, no contribution, nothing. And imagine somebody telling you that when you already felt you could not do it, now put it to you to your face. Because of time, let me cut the long story short. I left that guy, and for the first time, I think I had this inspiration from my heart that who told you cannot solve this problem? I started trying to write a script to solve that problem. And I ended up solving the problem that we had called experts to come and solve, and they could not solve for weeks. I ended up being the one to solve that problem. And so that was also a defining moment for me, that everything that comes your way, have a positive mindset towards it, that you can. Don't look down on yourself. We are carrying so much more. We have so much abilities, and that ability is waiting for you to make a decision. The decision is that you can if you really want to.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I won't add to that, so much analogies that you've put there, and I'm going to quickly go on, but these are experiences that I know personally about, and I know the impact those experiences had on your career after then. And so thank you for sharing them. I want to move on now. We've had a lot of things around career, so I want to move on to entrepreneurship, and it's a number of questions have come through. Mr. Oladipupo Clement, I have some questions for you. So while you answer the questions, if you could share some personal experiences, would be great. 2 questions in one. First, what's the surest way to create wealth? And I know you know why that question is coming to you. What's the surest way to create wealth? That's simple. The other question is, how do you face the trials and setback of starting a new business? Let's see how we can put those two together. Thanks.
All right. So very good question. What's the surest way? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So the surest way to create wealth, somebody would probably think I'll be mentioning real estate, mentioning gold or something. The surest way, I must tell you, the surest way to creating wealth is investment in yourself. That's the surest way. One time, Bill Gates was asked that if by any means he notices $100 bill on the ground, will he pick it up? And he said no, that it will distract him from the next $1 billion idea. Anything, you are not truly a wealthy man if all you have is money. And I must say that. You are not truly a wealthy person if all you have is money. If they take away all that you currently possess and you feel your life has come to an end, then you are truly not wealthy. And that's why I can say that it's not about what you possess, it's about who you are, really. It's more about who you are. And all of this stems from your investment in yourself. And why I can also say that also is because the degree to which you invest in yourself, it will also impact on your choice, the kind of decisions, financial decisions you would even take in the course of your journey, right? And so that's about that. I'm trying to keep to time. I have a lot in my heart I would love to share, but let me move to the second question. The second question is about how do you deal with trials, starting up a business. All right, so I have a very clear example there. We started our business without a dime. As a matter of fact, it was with a loan of 35,000 naira, and it wasn't really. I recognize that loan, so it was. It's a long story, but 35,000 naira that was supposed to be remitted as for sales and return products that we sold. That was the amount of money we used in printing the first flyer we produced, the first receipts, payment vouchers that we printed and produced for the business. And all we saw at the time was to take advantage of an opportunity that opened up to us. Was it very easy? Not at all. It was a very tough time. And there were a lot of options, a lot of opportunities that people presented just to like a bailout for us at the time. And then one of the defining moments for us at that particular period, especially for the first 1 year of the business, we were very frustrated, extremely frustrated. And there were three key things that happened, and three questions I asked myself. I took away time. I stole out time to think about the business, and that also informed some of the decisions, some of the things I do today. A lot of entrepreneurs, whether small, mid-sized, or mega or big, you can get trapped in working in your business rather than working on your business. It's the greatest trap any entrepreneur can ever make. Any mistake any entrepreneur can ever make. So working in your business as opposed to working on your business. So from time to time, an entrepreneur got to take time to view the business from the perspective of an outsider in order to be able to succeed. And a lot of times, a lot of businesses are revolved around the entrepreneur himself or herself. And over time, it's when the business is already dead, they have the opportunity to now begin to review what went wrong. But while the business is still running, you have the greatest opportunity to actually review it. I remember what happened to us was a case in point. A case in point was we had too many things we were doing. I mean, I always say to people that life has been a group of companies from day one, but we're a bunch of confused people who who had no clue as to what exactly we were supposed to be doing. And I remember, out of frustration, I just took time out to do exactly what I'm talking about now. And there were three key questions I asked myself at the time. And these three questions is still very relevant today for anyone who is planning to start a business or who is already in business. And these three questions were, number one, why did we start the business in the first place? That goes back to knowing your why, your anchor. Very, very important. Why? Why did we start this business in the first place? I needed to answer that question. So for those who want to transit into owning a business or starting the business, why do you want to start the business? What exactly is the purpose of this business? What specific problem will this business be solving, and all of those things? So we got that, and we have evolved over the years, from time to time. And then the second question was, which of the products and services we were into was in alignment with this purpose? Because I can't start telling the kinds of things we were doing at the time. And then the third question was, which of these products and services was even giving us our greatest results? And to be honest with you, we streamlined to just three things out of several things that we were doing. In fact, we had thousands of flyers we had printed for products that were not flying, for certain services were rendering at the time, and those flyers were just gathering dust. But the moment we refocused our business on the products and services that aligned with our business, it took us to another level altogether. And we've had to, from time to time, refocus. But the point here is you need to define your why. Anytime business is a straight graph, there will always be challenges. There will always be challenges, no matter. And then you don't wait for a business to even be in challenge, in a crisis, before you start thinking. That's why I said you need to take out time to work on the business rather than work in the business. I think I want to rest my case there.
Thank you so much. Again, a repeated focus on knowing your anchors, understanding the why, and then you know where you're going from there. I got a bit distracted there. I just want to quickly at this point say that we have just a little over another one impactful hour more. So if for any reason you've been distracted, know that we're changing gears now, and we're going to be flying now in different levels of impact. I just want to say a few things at this point. First is the fact that for those of you as you're viewing us via Facebook, please like our page, Inspired for Impact. If you're or for YouTube, whatever platform you're on, for you to please subscribe and follow us. We'll be sharing content like this. We've had a number of events before now, and you would see videos going forward. Would really want as many persons as possible to join, and so both subscribe and then like our Facebook page. I also want to give a brief update on the one-on-one mentoring. So one of the things that we shared before, we had a two-part session to this. The first part was the challenge. So we had requested that individuals between the age of 21 and 30 to write an essay, a 200-word, maximum 300-word essay, stating what area of impact they want to be involved in. Typical, what you have is that most of the entries came in at the very last day. A lot of the entries came in at the very tail end. So because of preparations to that, and because we do not want to just give just mention any names, whether based on how people submitted. We wanted to be sure we are picking the very best top. We've started reviewing, but we would not be able to announce the winners today, but we will. But just let me explain to you what it is for the benefit of those who do not have an idea. This week, we should have, we have our I'll call them assessors that will be going through the details, the submissions, and they would be, they are our impartial judges. So they're going to be picking the top 4, the top 5. And so 2 things I will share there. One is that each person is going to get one-on-one mentoring. Our guests, our very, very high profile guests, have all committed to one-on-one mentoring for a 2-hour session. But trust me, I expect and I know that depending on the mentee, that can go way beyond that. It can end up being a lifelong experience. So really, the ball is in your court if you're one of those who submitted. The other bit, and I'm glad to announce this, is that I've had a few persons who are not guests on this call reached out to me to say that I'd like you to send 1 or 2 persons to me. You know, I had a CEO of a logistic company say, I want to be part of this. Send me somebody with this profile. So we're going to be, I hope that we get somebody with that profile who is going to be mentored by 1 or 2 other persons that are not on this platform. And we are not picking mentors just, we're not just picking mentors because they are raising their hand to say they want to mentor. We are picking them because we know they can. And also, we also got a call where someone said, I want to know who submitted the best essay. And so because of things like this, we don't want to just pick any names. We really need to be careful. So we are giving it to the best. So we have somebody who said, I want to know who submitted the best. I'm not sure what that is, but your guess is why that, but your guess is as good as mine. And so because of all this, we will be announcing subsequently. And so those are things you will be seeing on our Facebook page and also on YouTube and also on our website, Inspired for Impact. So please stay tuned in and watch out for details of that. I want to quickly go on now to the next phase. So this is the final hour and we're shifting gears. And so my next question is coming to Mr. Totoi. The question is this: how would you define what your motivation for success is. Hello?
The way we're taking the time to ask this question is scaring me.
No, not the problem. So I recall, you've explained to us the conversation you had with that person, and
Yeah.
I personally know some of your stories of impact. What motivates you to success? Two questions in one, like most of my other questions. And how would you define success? Two things. What motivates you, and what's your definition for success? Thanks.
Okay, thanks. One, I don't want to be poor. I want to live a very rich, fulfilling life. I want to have options in my life. And so one of the many reasons why I'm motivated to do the things I want to do is because I want to have options. I want to enjoy the fine things of life. Number two, family is very, very big on my list. So when I see the look of my wife's face and my kids, no matter how tired I am or the pressure on me, it's enough to get me up again and running. But that then fits into the second question in terms of what is success to me. Can you hear me clearly, please? Because I see
Yes,
that
we can. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
What is success to me? Professionally speaking, a critical part of my success is that, so someone very influential in my life told me a long time ago that my life is too small to be the purpose of my life. And so professionally speaking, and career-wise, and I'm glad there are examples all around, and some that I'm even very shocked to hear sometimes. I am very particular about, so I know that my career path is unusual. And I know I have personally enjoyed God's grace on my career. And so I am very deliberate that part-time, on a monthly basis, almost literally on a daily basis, and for everywhere I've worked, I would at least be able to point back to that place and say, I particularly lifted this person's career. So when I help people make career switches or move from one level to another or change jobs or things like that, and it literally changes their lives, that thing makes me extremely happy. And it's a critical indices for me with which I check and measure my success career-wise part-time. I can hardly go past a month, a quarter, or a year that I cannot point to at least one person that I have been deliberately involved with in changing their path. And so when I saw how impactful this has been, last year, I gave myself some crazy targets. I looked at careers like HR, finance, and I think legal. And I said, for the next 2 years or so, I will personally place 50 people as HR directors and heads of HR in places that their careers just take on from there. So that's important to me. The next thing, and I'll drop it there, that's a measure of success for me, and it's one of the many reasons that influenced the way I started my practice, Alan & Grant, is to say that I want there to be an expression. I want to start something, but if anyone sees it, it should be like an expression of excellence. It should be my child brain, like they say, that if you see the practice 5 years, 10 years from now, you'll be looking for who and the people who is behind this. And let me see the team that's behind this. And it should be so great. The level of excellence, the results, the impact across Africa will make you ask questions. And if I can put a measure to it, so GT Bank today has a case study in Harvard Business Review. Maybe 10 years from now, Alan & Grant, the story, the way we started and the things we've done, will be a case study in one of these business schools. So that people can look at it and say, and they hear all the story around how we started and everything we did, and that story of excellence and impact will make other people want to go for the very best of their lives as well. That's for me. So my family is great, and then my work is great. I'm fine.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. And I really would not want to spend so much time on what you said, but Claire, one thing that struck me while you spoke, I linked back to the things we've heard every other person speak. And I realized, and I'm also taking notes, and I expect that every other person is taking notes, is that there's so much nuggets being dropped here. So if you take your notes from here, look back, and we have a myriad of different persons on this call. So I have very senior persons. I have MDs on this call. We have people who are starting out in their careers. We have grandparents on the call. So we have people in different areas. And I recall, so I'm taking this break to just give some form of just to give some clarity to one or two persons who might be on this listening and thinking, how does this impact me? Or thinking, how do I put all this together? I recently listened to a session where Mrs. Awoshika was being interviewed, and she said something. She said, so many people have what it takes to emerge. So what it takes to be successful in them. So in terms of the potentials they do have, in terms of training they do have, in terms of the opportunities they do have, but they never emerge. And some of the reasons why they never emerge is because the things that should bring the switch, they don't have the benefit of those things happening. And so for some persons on this call, again, let me use this as an interlude to say this to everybody listening in. This session was an inspired session. So it wasn't just Victoria Ibarra trying to celebrate her birthday. No, it was an inspired session, and a session that to use the the way you say you received something, for those who understand what I mean. So it was clearly inspired. So we are certain, and speaking to every one of our speakers, the confirmation came from each of them. And so getting the confirmation from them, and also from my spiritual fathers, it was clear that this was a direction we should go today. And so I know that for everybody listening, there's one thing, at least one thing, that will be impactful for you wherever you are. But what will it take to emerge? It's not going to be enough for us to pick everything that we'll hear from this session. There's so many sessions we've attended in the past. There's so many things that you have heard, but you might not have put to practice. That's the switch. That's what is going to cause that. That's what is going to turn on the switch. So you have what it is. You have what it takes. You are getting a lot more today, a lot more for free, a lot more. I know those peer persons on this call. I know every one of them personally. So I know when I want to use the consulting time, if I want to say TEM, if I want to say their charge out rates, I know that we can afford them for this session. So it's a fantastic session. And I know that beyond here, let's bring on that switch and make sure that if it's just one area, know what your anchors are, understand the whys, and then the sky is just the beginning for us. So I'm going to switch back to the questions. And at this point, I want to take on Mr. Ladenusi. This question, so I struggled with asking you the question. And so, again, let me just also say this, because I know every one of you, sometimes I try to take away that bias to say, okay, no, because I know this person, no, so I'm going to do this. And this is a typical woman question. When you have a session like this, the females are always asked this question. But I'm not asking Mrs. Damilola Hassan the question. I'm asking you, and I'm asking you for a particular reason. I know the things that you do. You ran a ministry. I knew when you did your 10th anniversary some years ago, and then you started a full-blown church, still a full-time partner. How do you achieve balance? A tough one. How do you achieve balance? There are a lot of people looking at every one of you on this call. You know, you're doing fantastic work in your careers, but at the same time, you're making impact in other spheres of influence. And they're wondering, how do you bring everything together and still be successful in almost every, we see you and we want to learn in different areas. How do you achieve that balance and still be successful? Mr. Ladenusi, thank you.
So thank you very much. That's a question I get every day from people.
Okay.
And my answers are changing every day as well, interestingly. Because initially I thought I knew how, but of recent things are so much now, and I'm asking myself, how am I doing it too? So I got to a level where I thought I understood principles, and now I can say, God, I think it's just you at work. But if I'm to backtrack to how it started, I would say I grew into it. I grew into it. And that's what has been the underlying theme. If you listen to everybody who has spoken today, we talked about capacity. You can't, if you take Mr. Clement's example, for the first point you made, if you take a generator that and say the generator should have a balance to carry maybe a small generator of 5 kVA to carry 30 buildings, like it can't balance it. But if it's a big generator, it can actually take it and balance it. So two things I will draw out. Number one, perspective. I believe that what I am doing, it's possible to achieve a balance, and because everything starts from your mindset. So I believe that I can do very well in ministry. In fact, I am a minister. Every believer is a minister. We are called into ministry. My work is my platform. I am primarily a minister, and not for me, every believer. We have all been called to minister God's grace to people, and our work is just a platform. So that perspective, that ideology drives me, and I'm able to see how to combine things. Number two, my daily agenda. Someone once said that the secret of great people is their daily agenda. If you want to see how people do things, look at how their daily agenda is structured. And that's why I like what Mr. Tutori said. We're talking about people, a lot of people just dream of what they want to become, and they don't think about how they will get there. You know, whatever you're going to become in future, you're already becoming it today. So if you want to be able to do so much, you must grow into it. You must grow into it. People grow up, they don't jump up. So the secret of great people is their daily agenda. The secret of being able to do so many things and balance it very well is how you structure your daily agenda. So I have put my agenda in such a way that things I have considered very important, they enter into my to-do list. For instance, we all say family is very important, but family never gets into our to-do list. Families will come back to it. They're always there, we'll come back to it. Family should get to your to-do list every day. Ministry should be in your to-do list. Your work should be in your to-do list. Your health should be in your to-do list. So every day, like this last week, I played tennis 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. every day for 1 hour, and it's there. So I put them in my agenda, and I let that agenda to drive me. I don't just follow things, and also I eliminate things that I can do without from my agenda. For instance, some people that say they cannot balance things, go and check the time they have for gisting, check the time they have for social media, check the time they have for watching one TV program, one match, post-match analysis. Just calculate those times to put together. After putting together, you know, they are in 1 year, you will start they spent at least 3 to 4 months on those things that have not taken them so far. So everything boils down to our daily agenda. We have to be intentional about our daily agenda. And I think the secret also, it lies there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Profound. Thank you. I want to, so one of the things I'm going to share here, so let me just prep you, every one of you, before we go towards the end. As you are answering the question, I'm going to say this. This is not typical of me, but I will say this here. At the end of this segment, I would want every one of you, so I'm giving you enough time to think about it. I remember many years ago when I had my trainer training with KPMG at the time, we were told that for every speech that you make, there's a speech you prepare for, there's a speech you made, and there's a speech you wish that you made. So I'm going to ask every one of you, and I know that our viewers will want to hear that, to prepare in your mind, what's that one thing that if you look back on today's session that you would wish that you said? That's going to be your final word. We're not there yet, but I need to prepare you ahead. What's that one thing that if you look back, you know, on the entire 2-hour segment, on the impact that we know this session, we all confirm that this is an inspired session and is the way to go. What's that thing that you want to share, whether an experience or a word that you want to share that you know that if you do not say it, you think, oh, I should have said this. Because we want to avoid I should have said it, that's what I'm bringing that now. I'm saying that now. I want to go to Mrs. Damilola Hassan. We celebrated you. You know, I know that becoming a managing director is no mean feat, especially in the space that you play in and being a female. And I'd like to say a young, upwardly mobile female who is also making impact in different aspects. And there are a lot of people here who are also growing in their roles. How are you making a success of leadership? How are you making a success of leadership, especially in a sensitive role as this? We want to hear you. Thanks.
Okay, so where do I start that from? I think I need to mention this to each and every one of us, that you do not become a leader the day you are appointed a leader, the day you have a title. Leadership is a journey, and we all have to understand that we have leadership roles to play, even in our small clusters. So we shouldn't wait for a title to be a leader. We need to understand that. We need to learn the art of leadership. Leading, from the front. Leading, managing above, the relationships above, managing across, and managing below. There are things that we learn every day. We're intentional about it. And then as we put ourselves out there, as we serve, as we take on opportunities for one thing or the other, we begin to build muscles. So leadership muscles are built as you test and as you encounter different situations. So it comes to a point where you have built. So when we see people that we call leaders, okay, so this person has achieved this and that, it's because they have given themselves to building up muscles. So you and I know that if you want to build six packs today, if you want to build your muscles, your physical body, it doesn't happen in a day. It happens over time, and then the muscles are formed. So that's how the leadership journey progresses. So in my space, there's really nothing different from the financial services sector to any other sector in terms of the skills that you're expected to demonstrate even as a leader. But what I would just want to quickly throw in as to my ladies on this call is that don't be quick to give excuses. Yes, I know that oftentimes we talk about, we understand that there's marginalization, there's inequality in how women in workplace are treated compared with their male counterparts and all of that. But we also have a role to play in the space that we get at the table. So I'm speaking to every woman out there, every young lady out there. Don't be quick to give excuses. Don't assume you will not get what you want. Don't on one hand be quick to give the excuse of, but I'm a lady, but I'm a woman, but I'm the weaker vessel. And then on the other hand, you want the results, you want the recognition, you want the rewards that come with a certain level. Find a middle ground and be very objective with it. One thing I also want to quickly chip in, as every opportunity you have, to add value, don't misuse it. So I want, if you're going to take anything away from this meeting, it's the word being intentional. I want you to just be very conscious of that. Be intentional about your outcomes, and let that be a driving force for you. I think I lost my trail of thought, but did I answer all the questions?
Yes, I think you did. Yes, you really did, in terms of the fact that your leadership doesn't start from when you are being appointed. And also linked to you grow into it. And I recall that within Inspired for Impact, we did read the book by Robin Sharma, The Leader Who Had No Title. Fantastic book. Fantastic book. So maybe I can recommend that book to everybody. You don't really need to have a title to be a leader, wherever you are. We read a book some months ago, and it was a very, very impactful book. And so while I said that, I think it's also an opportunity to mention Inspired for Impact platform. It's a platform where we encourage people, professionals. We started with basically women, and still our core focus, although we have events like this that is open to everybody. But within Inspired for Impact, we try to encourage professionals, both as entrepreneurs, as career-driven people, to be the best in their chosen fields, while also fulfilling the purpose that God made them for, beyond what they're being paid for. So finding that balance, and it's been a tremendous experience since 2018 that we started. We've had testimonies, we've had life experiences of people. We've even gone beyond what we thought we were made, set up for. And it's been from, God has helped us through one phase to another. It's been an inspiring experience for every one of us. So I want to go quick into the questions. But before I say that, while we are going towards the last 30 minutes, you would have seen from the different chats and then from our speakers, saying happy birthday. I have on the call, I've been privileged to have a number of mentors, and I recall somebody on this platform, Mrs. Hassan, a while ago, she was saying, being thankful for platform. And where I sat when I was listening to her, like my life is a testimony of platforms. I look at everybody on this panel. Talk by yourself. I recall, working with you and having that experience to just be myself. Mr. Totoyi, I recall the experience, the platform you gave to say, come speak to us at CIPM, the feedback that came. I can't even begin to mention the numerous platforms with Mr. Clement, that I've had working with him. And then I always say with my sister and friend, Mrs. Damilola Hassan, with the push that you always give, even until this morning, we were still doing that push. So it's just been a fantastic experience, maximizing platform. And to everybody listening here, in some sort of way, this is also a platform. And my question to you as you listen and as we go on to our very last 30 minutes will be, how would you use this platform? Again, so something to reflect on, the things we've learned, how will you use it? Are you going to pack it? Are you going to, is it going to be impactful? Is this an opportunity to immediately go on a retreat? Or, look in and now begin to ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? What's the why in my life? What's my assignment? What am I made for? If money wasn't involved, what would I be doing? A lot of things that we've heard. Investment in yourself. I know a lot of people didn't see that coming in terms of the surest way to maximize or to create wealth. And so fantastic responses so far. I wish the day will continue and continue. So we're moving on, and we're moving on to the next level. Now I'm going to be asking Mr. Clement this question. And my question to you is this. In which areas, so I know I've asked a question around failure before. When you actually failed, so this failure now is not, we've heard, yes, failure is opportunities to get better. I want you to share with us specific example when things didn't turn out right and what you did to turn the story around to where you are today. Thank you.
So let me just mention the area of relationship. So today I'm married. So I want to talk on relationships. So I'm not a relationship expert, but
Please,
I think I would like to
please
touch
do.
on relationship today.
Yeah.
So that everybody won't tag me as the entrepreneur and all of that. Only. Okay, so I once had a relationship that didn't work out, and that was also another defining moment. So what had happened was nobody ever thought any good thing could come out of Nazareth, and that was me. Nobody ever thought, nobody ever believed, nobody knew. Anyone who knew me some 20 years ago most likely would have written me off completely. Yeah. And that's why till tomorrow, I say to people, never look down on anybody. Never, never look down on anybody. And then I also say to people, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. And some of the things that will break you will come from the people who are closest to you. Some of the things that will process you, refine you, will come from the people that are closest to you. And God is basically using that to prepare you for something greater. So, so I had a relationship that didn't work out. So this lady and I had been friends, and I just felt like I had very little. I was very inexperienced, no prior relationship, and so I felt we could go on and take this to the next level. So, and that was it. And then, because of my inexperience, I was excited about the whole thing. I was poor, broke. I mean, like I said to people, when broke people call you broke, who are you? You are a broke. So, and that was my case at the time. And so I remembered, I spoke with a few mentors and all of that. And they told me, one of them told me I should take my time. I should not be too much in a hurry and all of that. And so when I told the lady that I had mentioned this and this, I don't want to go into too much details, but the lady said, why did I have to go ahead and all of those things? Cut the long story short, someone approached her who I considered a prayer mentor years back. I mean, what I'm talking to you about now is several years ago. And the lady, the prayer mentor asked her, and I said, sister, no brother. I said, that she's in a relationship. And then the woman asked her that, okay, so who is the lucky brother? And then she said, brother Timothy. You know bro now. Bro is the spiritual version of brother. So bro, and that was it. And then the woman shouted, say, what? Of all brothers, in this church, that one, I mean, that was how hopeless hopeless my case was. So when people saw me at the time, and thinking back now, today I'm married, I've got 3 lovely children. I'm married to a wife that adores me and respects me. We have a strong marriage, that's the way I can put it. And whenever I think about that failure, I'm always grateful that it failed. I'm forever grateful that I didn't work. You understand what I mean? And of course, the relationship ended on that ground. Apparently, they organized another relationship for the lady who they felt was more matured, was better placed, and then all of those things. Of course, the relationship didn't work also, but that's not really the point. I had to go through a process of having to forgive. I remember my friend who knew what I went through. I was, drying up like HIV patient. I couldn't talk to anybody in the family. I just soaked it in. It's dangerous to cry inside. And for most men, we always like to show the macho part of us. The truth of the matter is men to cry. And it's more dangerous when you cry. So it's always therapeutic when you cry out. And so that my friend told me I should keep praying for her and all of those things. That's the way I would come out of this and all of that. It was in the process of that experience that I had the more or less like a trance or revelation of who my wife was going to be. She didn't look like anybody I'd met. even though I had my eyes on somebody else also at the time. So, but cut long story short, when I finally met my wife, she didn't have all the signals. So one day I remembered asking, I'm sorry, I'm taking too much time, but this is something I can never forget, and it's coming from my heart. So it's not rehearsed. This is not rehearsed. So that just in case somebody jilts you, did not believe that you could ever become anything remarkable, that's going to be their own loss. Just make sure that you focus on where you are headed. And then I remembered few months into being just a friend to my wife, who is now my wife. I remember just asking her, because it always comes to my mind that I remember the picture I saw. So I remembered when it was just 4 or 5 months or so into our friendship, I just said, sorry, do you use glasses? Do you use glasses? Because that was one of the things I also saw in that particular experience. And then she said yes. I said, so why are you not putting it on? Is it recommended or recommended? Forgive me for lack of a better word. I said, is it recommended or recommended? And she told me it was recommended. I said, why are you not putting it on? So I said, make sure you put it on. I want to see it on you. And to be honest with you, whatever God has ordained is what God sustains. So it's always good to look into that. And to be honest with you, I'm the loyal type. Once I'm in a relationship, I stay committed. I don't joke with my relationship. I don't also doubt people until they prove otherwise. All right. So I don't find it difficult to trust until people prove otherwise. So cut long story short, she came. I saw her the following day. When I saw the guy, I said, no, this is the person. Of course, we had our challenges, but we were able to pull through most of those challenges because there was that anchor. I knew that this was why. And then there's no regrets. And we're grateful to God for what God has done for us. So that's one major failure I've experienced in my personal life. That
okay.
Shook me.
Thank you.
Today, I don't find it hard. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to cut you there. And because of the platform that this is, I don't want to go into, the way we talk now and say, you talked about what you saw, but let's not go into that. Oh, do you have to see? Did God tell you, my son? Let's not go there. Maybe in some other platforms we can do that. But I know it's an interesting area that a lot of people will want to hear. We wouldn't want to go into that now, but thank you very much for sharing from your heart. I want to quickly move on to so I'm between Mr. Totoyi and Mrs. Azan for this, but Mr. Totoyi, I would like to take you on this. You work in the HR space. You've moved in your career. Just give a few words. One of the things, before I say that, one of the things that I maybe I should have said at the beginning is, if you have any question that you want to ask, you can put it. We don't have so much time anymore. But if you do, but I believe that we've learned a lot already. But just in case there's one very, very burning question, if we can take it, we may take it. Maybe the speakers can even put it in their final word that I told them to prepare for. You never know. But Mr. Totoyi, there are a lot of people here, it's a mix, and even for grandparents, they want to have things. So let me quickly go back. The session I listened to with Mrs. Awoshika, I took a lot of notes, but there weren't notes that really would apply to me anymore, because some of the things she shared were from way back, but I was taking notes for my kids and things I was being conscious to say, these are things I missed and I'll be sure my kids don't miss, And so even for young people and grandparents and parents on the call, I wanted to just give a few nuggets, nothing, no rules, there are no rules, but what are things that young people should be mindful of as they want to be deliberate in building their careers? You shared a few already, but if you want to add one or two in 2 minutes so that we can begin to wrap up. Yes, thanks.
Maybe one. No, I'll do two.
Okay.
One is give yourself the mental permission to succeed. Give yourself the mental permission to succeed. If there's anything that has crossed your mind as a dream, if there's anything calling at your heart, if just whatever it is that will make your life, we all can follow trends and get on the fad. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a founder. I want to be this. If you leave all that and you are by yourself and you still see that dream calling at you, allow yourself to pursue it. Because all these things that we are sharing, the fun of it, the real juice is in that pursuit. And my second tip would be, and you can go get the movie, one of my personal favorite, The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
So call it Pursuit of Happiness or call it Pursuit of Excellence. The second thing really is that I give people is, again, and it was partly what part of my first answer. So the chart my boss gave me then was, there weren't very many excellent people or people who pursue excellence. And so from him and my pastor, Reverend Sam Adeyemi, I see a daily, dogged, continued commitment to excellence. So let me give you a joke, for instance. I worship in Daystar and I've been there at least 12 years. I can never remember walking into the church. In fact, there are just two experiences: walking into the church and a bulb is off, like a bulb is not working. The only time I saw that happen, we were in a Saturday meeting and I could see a bulb like by the altar shaking, like it was blinking, it was going to go off. And I told my wife, I said, I can guarantee that by the time we come for first service, 10 a.m. tomorrow, that thing will not be like that. And that was what happened. I've been in Daystar 11, 12 years. You know, when you are in church service and something goes off around the sound, it has only happened to me once. In fact, the day it happened, the shock on everybody in the hall was like, this doesn't happen. For me, that's such a daily, dogged commitment. So, yeah, guys, you will fail. You make some mistakes or something, but you see, quickly get up. Agility, get up, go at it again. I have made mistakes. I've gotten some things wrong. I have failed interviews. I've had my boss tell me that was trash. I've written memos where I missed a line, but I hardly repeat my errors. So my charge to everyone here is, stop comparing yourself. You don't need validation as much. Just tell yourself, this is the life I want to live. You saw it by God or you found it yourself, whatever it is. Pursue it. Give yourself the mental permission to succeed, because you will truly, truly succeed. And the fun of it, the real joy, this that I'm doing today used to be a dream, but today is a reality. The real joy is not that you are now here, you are following me on social media, or it's not all these are catch revelation that all you guys are saying. To be honest, it doesn't get into my head. What truly excites me is that this was a dream and it's now a reality. And I see the gap and the growth that happened to me. And that's the real thing about this whole pursuing purpose and destiny thing. You eventually get there and there's nothing really fancy, there's nothing running in your stomach. The real thing is how you have grown as you pursued your purpose. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Right now we have 20 more minutes, and I want to say this again. One of the things I was trying to say before, that somehow I started saying something else, was to say that on this call, I have my mentors on the call. I think for every stage you're in life, you would have mentors. Yes, I have my mentors on the call, and one of them is going to be wrapping up the segment via prayers for everybody participating on this call. So I want to implore us that after our speakers give their final, their final pitch, I would still want us to stay back. Let's be inspired. Like I said, it's an inspired session, and we're going to be wrapping up. I don't want to lose that part. So I have two more questions before I ask the speakers to give us 1 minute each. I've given them enough time to think. So just 1 minute each. They're going to be sharing in 1 minute each what they don't want you to miss. So my two questions are this. One, Mrs. Damilola Hassan. The same question I asked Mr. Totoyi. But this time around, while I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to do that. It's a mixed crowd here. You did you alluded to the fact that there's a lot of issues around diversity and inclusion, you know, for women. You talked about us not being too quick to give excuses and without sharing any code for success. I have heard you, you know, I remember when we celebrated you, when, you know, when the MD role came and you had a one-on-one with us on a particular platform, you know, when we had that Zoom call in the evening, and you shared some personal experiences. It was quite an inspiring one for me. I'd known you, but I didn't even know you had gone through, you know, things like that. I know there are women who are listening and they see you. So particularly as a woman, what do you want to share? What are the things that have helped you? Maybe just one or two. You know, a lot of women want to, you know, want to have the best of both worlds, and they see you as somebody who is having it. So what has helped you, and what do you think people need to know? So this time around, specifically for women, and for the guys, please permit us to go this way. Thanks.
I thought you said we're rounding up.
Yes.
This question
So just 1 minute, you can share that. I have one final
is
question
a
for Mr.
loaded one.
Yeah.
Dear woman, just know this, that you can be whatever you want to be. There are no limits. However, you must make sure that you build the right support around you to make it happen. The greatest mistake that a woman can make, let's assume salvation is given. The greatest mistake that a woman can make that can be her undoing in terms of her career, in terms of her life, is to marry wrong. So when I talk of a strong support system, who are the people around you? Don't ever throw away your family because you are trying to build a business or a career or anything. Don't carry family and personal responsibilities and be negligent and slack in your career, in your business, such that when they need someone that can be relied upon, when they need someone that can deliver, they don't make excuses on your behalf to say, her daughters are always sick. She's always the one taking the children to school. They don't make excuses for you and leave you outside and exclude you from things. So I'm talking about finding that balance, but you need the right support system to be able to achieve this. So I want to beg the single ladies here, marry right. Don't close your eyes to those warning signals. I'm not talking of looking for a perfect man, but I'm telling you, understand what your priorities are. You have an understanding of where you are going to. And if you are clear as to what your journey is, where you're going to, then you will be intentional about the mode of transportation. You'll be intentional about the luggage you carry. You'll be intentional about how you prepare for that journey. Your marital journey is an integral part of your overall success story. And I'm saying this, women have made the mistake and I have picked themselves up and have, moved on in life, of course, and they are living happily, but they would rather, if you ask them, they would rather not have gone that route, instead, and would have rather learned from other people's experience. So that's what I want to tell every woman out there. For if beyond your immediate family, what other support system are you building? What are the things that others can do for you that are not critical, that you can get others to do for you so that you can free up more time to focus on the things that are very important to you? I think we should be don't just box yourself into a corner. No, it is women that do this in the house. It is the woman that does this and that in the house. And then because you load yourself with so much, and every time you are looking tired and haggard, you are looking 10 years older than your husband. No, building a successful business or a career is not an excuse for living a sloppy family life. There's so much to say around this. But if there's anything you're going to remember, is the fact that you need to be very deliberate about your outcome, build the right support around you so that you can be free to run and pursue your goals. And you can do it. You can. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that closing. You can do it. Yes, yes, we can. If we can use that. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I want to take my last question. And please, I want to say this to everybody. Do not leave the call. Do not leave the meeting. We're going to be wrapping up with just wrapping up with a vote of thanks, and I really that's not the key thing. We're going to be wrapping up with some with one of our spiritual fathers giving us prayers, praying for every one of us. Like I said, I wouldn't want to miss that. And the last question actually links to this point. This session, again, I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this session was inspired. So we don't want to miss the essence of it all. And that's why we're going to be closing with a prayer. And also, that's why I'm taking this last question before I ask each of the speaker. And we are going to be, I wish I can cut off, but it's going to be 1 minute on the dot for each person sharing with us what's that last thing that you want to leave with the people? What's that thing that if you look back, you want to be proud that, yes, I didn't forget to say this. Mr. Tokpe, I'm asking you the last question. What's the role of God in your success? What's the role of God in your success? That I want to really wrap up the entire questions with this. What's the role of God in your success till date? Or in success, yes, generally.
I think that God has been instrumental for everything. I think people that don't recognize God in everything they do, they are just they've not really taken time to pay attention and think through things. For instance, think about life. I did not give myself life. I did not give myself health. Being a pastor, I've seen the importance of health. Listen, everything we have been talking about right now, because we are healthy. Once you're not healthy, your goal and your ambition in life is to get well soon. No matter how wonderful your goals are, they are reduced to get well soon when you are not healthy. And this is something that God gives us. Then I think for me, one other thing that I can say God has done for me, which stood me out, is being able to know the right decision to make per time. Everything that drives our lives at the end of the day is hinged on decision, taking the right calls. Mrs. Asan just talked about ladies not making the wrong decision. That's God also comes in. You say decision determines our destination. And when you take the right call at every given time, it really affects your life. So in terms of, I used to be in the north before running my own business. At the time, I had to take a call to come to Lagos. I used to work as a financial auditor. Later, I took a call to move to IT audit. I used to be in IT audit. Later, God told me, go to cybersecurity. That's the future. And when I was going into it, it was not the future. People were saying, what are you talking about? Today, it is the future and it's the present. So being able to follow God to a point whereby you're able to know the next step to take, the right decisions to make. So what has been the role of God in everything? I would say God has been everything. If you take away God and from my equation, I will fall down like a pack of cards that same very minute.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. There's an echo. I don't know if that's just from my end. Yes. So like you said, God has been the center of it all. It started with God, and without God, everything would just fall like a pack of cards. Fantastic. And that's one word we really wanted to pass across. When we were discussing this with every one of the speakers, we were mindful of the fact that God is going to be at the center of the messaging. So everything we've heard, whatever the formula that you can put together, God still has to be the center of it. So thank you very much, Mr. Tokpe, and thank you to every speaker. So I'm going to start with Mr. Who should I start with now? They say ladies first. So Mrs. Damilola Hassan, give us your 1 word, 1 minute final speech, if I'll say that. 1 minute, thanks.
Thank you. Quickly, I would read Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. And I read a message translation. It says, trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. He's the one who will keep you on track. It doesn't, we've said it all. It's not about, without God, who am I? Who exactly am I without God? You know, I owe it all to Him. And I just want each and every one of us here to understand that you cannot exchange that, the God factor, for any other thing. And then that's the foundation. God in everything that you do. Trust Him. Every single plan you have, your marital plans, your career plans, hand it over to God and trust Him to make it happen. I also want to just leave each and every one of us with this charge. Come to the table prepared and sit up. Can I say that again? Come to the table prepared and sit up. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Totoyi, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. This is tough. Right.
1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, so let me help some people here. Before you sleep tonight, write down 5 things you want God to do in your life. Good things you want. Write down 5 things you want out of your life. Okay, 5 things you don't want, 5 things you want. Take it before God and say, the next 5 years of my life, God, sort out this thing. So give yourself a 5-year perspective. Stop. One of the biggest challenge to vision is lack of focus, right? So narrow down your life, the things you want, the things you don't want, into 5 critical things. That in itself will make some of us have a headache. Your brain will be sweating. But tell yourself, for the next 5 years of my life, these are the things I will bury my head in. When I pray, I'm praying about this thing. When I'm studying the Bible, I'm studying this thing. When I'm talking to a mentor, it's on these 5 things. And such that in 5 years' time, if those 5 things that you want have happened, and those 5 things you don't want again are no longer in your life, the life you want to live, you will not be surprised by who you have become in 5 years' time. Does that make sense to anyone?
True. Does.
That's what I'll leave us with.
Yes.
You can do 7, you can do 10, you can do 3, but just 5 years, 5 things I want, 5 things I don't want, 5 years, and you take it to God every day and pray about it 5 minutes every day.
Every day. Okay. We'll watch this video again so we pick everything. Thank you very much for that. So your last 1 minute, Mr. Tokwe, then I'll take Mr. Clement last.
All right, thank you very much. Let me take it from the last, from Satotoyi. He said, write 5 things. And I would also say, do something daily about those 5 things. You know, one thing I realize is that, and I want to say this for many people, many times we are not clear where we want to be. Many people are not clear about what is my purpose. Which job should I do? Should I do a business? Should I go and start this career? That's the fact. Having worked with people as a pastor, as a leader in the business world, clarity, many times people don't have it. And I realized that one thing that brings clarity is growth. When you grow, some things are taken for granted. A child that said, should I drive a car? Should I drive a bus? Should I drive a truck? What should I have in future? Can I drive it? But when the child grows, he will know what to do. Once he's 5 or 10 years time, 10 years old, and he's talking all those things, it's just grammar and stories, theory. The moment the child gets to 30, he knows what he wants. There are things that we will take for granted when we grow. When you develop capacity, you take some things for granted. So when you are not very sure, okay, should I get married to? Which job should I do? Should I switch my career? Should I do this thing? One thing you should be sure of is that you are growing. When you are growing daily, you will soon be able to take that decision, very easily. So you may not be sure about anything, but be sure that you are growing. You are growing every day spiritually. You are growing in your career. you are growing your character, you are growing in every area of your life. Even though you don't have a fantastic goal and you have a good growth, you will always get to a great end.
Thank you very much. I'm trying not to repeat what all of you are saying. I'm really trying, but I'd leave it there. Mr. Clement, please, your final word. Thank you.
Wow. What much do we say after
to these things?
No, this is really hot. This is the last 1 minute, and it's a very powerful one. Okay. There is always something to stop doing. There is always something to start doing, and there is always something to continue to do. From this particular 2-hour virtual conference, what are those things that you will need to stop doing? What are those things you need to start doing? And what are those things you need to continue to do? And I think if you string everything together, I'm sure that you live a life of impact. I want to rest it there as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that simple yet powerful wrap up. You really have wrapped up the entire session. I am going to just say this, and really, I just for the benefit of everybody, I wrote down what every one of you said in the way I could, and it's from the fact that you should come to the table prepared and sit up. So beyond being prepared, sit up. And that links to some other things we've heard. I'm not going to be repeating them. And we also talked about, Mr. Toto, you now talked about determining what 5 things you want to stop, what 5 things you want to continue. Give yourself a 5-year plan. You can do 3, you can do 5. You can, so if you're doing 3, pray 3 minutes every day, 5, pray 5 minutes. If it's 10, and see the impact it would have. We talked about doing something to grow daily. Even if you don't have a fantastic goal, if you are growing daily, you have a fantastic outcome. And then what are the things you have picked from this session? Just wrapping it all up. What are the things you want to start doing beyond now? The research has shown that the earlier you begin to take action after an occurrence, there's something that we call the first mover advantage, and I will always remember it because somebody on this call, if I recall, I think it was an assessment. I don't know why that thing stuck. It was way back in 2013 and I know he'll be smiling now that he used that word first mover advantage. It just stuck. It was 2013, way back then, and it was an assessment. He gave a presentation on first mover. So just bringing that here for yourself, amongst those on this call, are you going to be one of the first persons to begin to move in the right direction? And I can assure you that it's going to be an impactful lifetime going forward for you. I'm apologizing because it's already on the dot of 8, so I'm just pleading that you give us a few more minutes so we can wrap up this session in prayers. Pastor Abraham, one of my mentors, is already on the call and is going to be doing that. Before I bring him on, I want to again ask everybody, before you leave, please click on our subscribe button on YouTube, like our Facebook page, and come back to get relevant details from us. Also, for all the speakers, you will find them on all social media handles. They are all on LinkedIn, I'm aware. They are also on Instagram. You can look them up on Facebook so you can follow them. And also myself, yes, and we're also on Facebook. After the prayers, maybe during or after the prayers, Prince is going to be bringing all of us together, if that's possible, every one of the speakers, and so we can have everybody on the screen. Sir, Pastor Abraham, thank you very much. We would like you to say a word of prayer while we wrap up. Thank you. And thanks to everybody for joining. So thank you so much, sir.
Good evening. Victoria, it's your special day. And I want to join the host of heaven to say happy 40th birthday. I've been tremendously blessed by everyone, all the speakers, and I want to thank them. I want you to know, Victoria, that you are a special person, and I don't expect anything less than what I'm saying today. I don't expect you to gather people just to eat. I always expect something. If you are going to celebrate a milestone birthday, I expect an action of this sort, and I'm very proud that you have done that. To God alone be all the glory. I also want to say most people see Victoria as a successful career woman, but I know Victoria also as a very, very good wife. She's a very loving mother, very caring mother, and she's somebody that looks out for a lot of other people. And you're a very godly person. God's grace is upon your life, and I celebrate you. And I will not forget to say also that you are brilliant. And anytime I have the opportunity, I don't hold back to mention it. Last month, I had the opportunity. I was called into a training, to run a training session for a whole day. And one of the topics they gave me, I looked at it and I spoke to the managing partner of the firm. I said, look, I've got someone that, if you allow, she can do a better job on this than myself. And I discussed with you, sent your profile in. Since we held that training session, everybody has been talking about, oh, where did you get Victoria from? Where did you get Victoria from? What you have been doing, I want you to keep it up, Victoria. And I pray as we wrap up today that on this special day, when we have a man who is 77 years old, starting the greatest job in the world, that's Joe Biden, who has just won the US election on the 7th of November. I want you to know that it's not by accident that we also have Kamala Harris, the vice president, the first Black Asian woman vice president. It's because the date, 7th November, is a special one. I prophesy that for every year remaining that you will live on this earth, Victoria, it will bring you special testimonies.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus. I pray that your years ahead will be far better and more glorious than the years before now. I pray that your health will not fail. The Bible says the path of the just is as a shining light that shines brighter and brighter unto a perfect day. Things will be getting better for you from this day forward. No weapon of the enemy formed against you shall prosper. The destiny helpers you need for your next level in life, the Lord will position them before you get to that next level. In the name of Jesus. I pray that even on your present career job now, I pray that the help of God will always be there for you.
Amen.
Your expectations over your husband, over your children shall become reality.
Amen.
Your service to God and his kingdom, I pray that the God of heaven will continue to give you the grace and the wisdom to excel in serving him. You will not disappoint God. You will not disappoint humanity. Many people look up to you. You will not disappoint them in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
I decree that from this day forward, new season of divine compensation open up for you.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Welcome to the 4th floor. Welcome to a fortified season where no weapon of the enemy will ever be able to reach you. Welcome to a new season of life where new dreams, new testimonies, new dimension of breakthroughs will begin to happen in your life. Congratulations. Amen. Happy birthday. Happy 40th birthday. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. I wanted you to also say a word of prayer for people who participated. Just a word of prayer. Yes,
thank
you,
Lord. For all our participants today, the Bible says, rejoice with them that rejoice. You have sown a seed of rejoicing today. I release harvest of rejoicing into your lives in the name of Jesus. Victoria Ibawa is someone that has enjoyed help from God and help from people. Everyone who has joined us to be a part of today, be connected to the same help of God in the name of Jesus. Wherever you need help, spiritually, maritally, emotionally, health-wise, financially, in business, in career, in academics. I release the door of help to locate you in the name of Jesus. You have joined this program today online to make a dream come true. I prophesy your dreams will become reality in the name of Jesus. God bless you. God bless you. It's my pleasure. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank God.
Thank you.
Thank God.
So Prince is going to be, thank you. We're going to be having all our speakers together on the screen. I just want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you. I know that, I don't know how many people are still on, but this would not have been possible if any of you had said no. You know, beyond agreeing to be a part of this, you went way and above just agreeing to also encouraging. Every one of you checked at different points. Up to today, you know, I still got messages, how are we preparing for this? I still got a call a few minutes to advising how we should do the questions. I still spoke last night, you know, I see every one of you, even when I didn't even reach out, you know, you were following up, following through. I want to say a big thank you. I know what it is to have your profiles on this. I know so many people are connecting because they've read your profiles and they want to be a part of this. So I just want to say thank you for making this impact. And, you know, we've heard the story, and permit me to say this, I know we've overrun, I'm going to be wrapping up in 8:10. We heard the story of, I want to believe it's a true story of one of the greatest evangelists of all time, how that Billy Graham, how that in the crusade where he got born again, I don't know how true, it was just himself or just two of them who got born again. I'm sure the organizers would have been feeling, oh, what a waste, you know, after everything. Imagine the impact that he's made. Some time back, I read about the God Generals, I read about Kathryn Coleman, I read about Macpherson, and some things they did, you know, while it looked like nobody believed they could do those things. And so what I just want to say is this. It might not look like for some persons, you know, when you have a meeting like this, it might just be one person whose impact in another 10 years, you might be talking to somebody who will be that next Benga, the next Damilola, you know, the next Moladikupo, the next Tokwe, who would obviously be doing greater things than you've done. So I'm thanking you from the mindset of the impact you have made, both for me agreeing to do this, but also the impact yet unseen that you have all made. And I also want to use this opportunity to say thank you to everybody behind the scene. I will tell you this, and for those listening, if I'm going to put a percentage to what I did on this, I know I'm taking time, I don't think I will do up to 5% of the success of this event. I had a lot of people behind the scene. When they say you have people, I experienced it with this. I don't know what else to say. When they say you really have people, this, I really experienced this from every one of you. I'm refraining from mentioning names, so I would try not to mention names. So thank you to everybody. Thank you. I'm stressing myself not to mention names, but there are some names right on. Please permit me, I'm just going to mention. Sorry. Victoria Ajilore, thank you. You have been there.
It's your birthday, don't worry.
I have to mention, you held this. In fact, when I know Victoria is program manager, even, you know, you held this. Prince, thank you so much. You know, everybody that volunteered, we had to set up a volunteering team. It looked like just a 2-hour event, but there was a lot behind the scene. I'm going to stop there. I don't want to start placing people, you know, I'm going to stop there. But you know, and my prayer is that God bless you. God bless you. And you never lack honor in your life in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, every. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have fun.
Thank you.
Thank eat your cake. And
there's quite a lot of it. Yes. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
good night, everybody. See you again, Pastor Shegun. Good evening, sir.
Thank you.
Pastor, good evening, sir.
How are you?
Pastor Graham, good evening, sir.
Apostle,
very fine, sir.
Nice to see you. Damilola, nice to see you.
Yes,
Good to
sir.
see you, sir.
Pastor Tim,
Where is
nice to see you.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir.
you all.
Good night, sir. Yes, sir.
Assistant
God
God
bless
Thank you
bless
very
you all.
much. Thank you.
Frank.
And Prince,
To
good
everyone
Victoria,
that
morning.
joined, thank you for joining. Thank
let's
you.
know
We hope
when
it
the
was
Chinese.
value.
Yeah, it's powerful sessions. Victoria, let's know when the launch will happen. You cannot
Okay,
escape the
sir.
launch.
Yes, fully
Okay,
paid
then.
for, right? Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right, to everyone in the hall,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye,
Have fun.
everybody.
All the
Thank you.
best. Bye.
God bless you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.